Hello and welcome back to the video lecture series on Python programming. This is Amit Kumar Das and I'm a senior research scientist in the Data Science Lab, University of Calcutta. Now, we have in the last few videos, we have looked at the basic properties of Python, like the data types of Python. We have also seen the basic constructs like the conditionals, the iterators, the generators, and also we have seen how to build your custom functions, right? So all this background being now there, I think it's right time to jump into solving certain problems using Python as a programming language. So now we are going to look at a few problems and see how we can solve them in Python. So the first problem we are going to solve is we want to build a nested loop, okay, or a program which will give this pattern. What is this pattern? There are certain dots followed by certain digit. Okay, so in the first line there are 4 dots and then the digit 1. Next line there are 3 dots and the digit 2. Next line, there are 2 dots and the digit 3. So the pattern basically is each line from the start of the pattern, the dots are reducing from 4 to 3 to 2 to 1 to 0. And these numbers are actually increasing from 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Right? This is the basic pattern. So we are going to do this code in Google Colab as we have already seen. Right? So if we just look at Google Colab, open Google Colab, and we basically open a new notebook. Here we can open a new notebook. It takes a bit of time to open, right? So yes, the notebook is now open. So now we will start writing the code. So what do we need? We need to have a loop, right? An outer loop and then an inner loop. The outer loop to keep a track of the numbers. So numbers need to track down, right? The number of dots should track down. And at the same time, the integer value should keep on increasing. So let me write a loop for I in range. So this is a basic construct for a for loop we have seen. 1, 2. So basically, how many numbers are we looking at? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So 5 points are going to be there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 plus 1, 6 we have to give because upper bound minus 1 is the traversal, right? Now, then we have to put in a inner loop, right? For j in, then what do we have to write? For j in 1, sorry, j in range 1, comma, then we have to count down, right? So how do we do that? So we will start from the 4th. So 6 minus I is what we will do. So first loop, it will get in with the I value of 1, right? So 6 minus 1 is 5. And since the upper bound is 5, so it is going to have the loop executed for 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So this is how we are going to build the loop. Then we are going to print the dots. So print, then dot, and then after the dot, we cannot go for a new line. So we have to give the parameter n, and the value we are going to mention is space. So separated by spaces, right? So this is how we are going to write it. Now, once this is being done, we have to also print the digit at the end. After all the dots are being printed, we have to print the digit. And the digit needs to start from 1, then 2, then 3, like that. So we can write it as I, right? So this is now done. Let's try to execute and see what is happening. So first time when you open the Google Colab and try to run a code, it takes a bit of a time because connecting to the, it takes a bit of time to configure and connect to the core and all those things, right? So see, we are getting this pattern. We were looking for this pattern, 4 dots and 1. So 4 dots and 1, 3 dots and 2, 3 dots and 2, like this we are having. Now, if we want to modify the code a bit and get this kind of a pattern where it doesn't end here, but there are dots to be filled up at the end. Okay, so how do we do that? Again, we can just simply modify this code a bit and create that kind of a pattern. How do we do? Let's see. In Google Colab, there is a class code for doing the additional code block. So if we want to have different code blocks, not have everything in the same code block, and we want to also execute them separately, we do this thing. So we create a different code block, and just note here we cannot end with the digit because there might be dots after the digit. So what do we give here? We simply give here end is equal to same space, right? So same thing we give here, and then we will have to create one more loop for the dots at the end. So again we write a loop for j in range, but here the range has to be different. What is the range going to be? It is going to be 1 to I, right? Because it's just the remaining positions where we need to fill up, right? So then we have to write the same thing, print dot. So we want to print the trailing dots. But once that is being done, once one line is being printed at the end of that, so basically at the end of these inner loops, we have to give a print statement for a new line. Just print statement without anything in the argument, right? So this is basically going to take care of the new line. So if you just do a dry run quickly, so it gets in with the I value of 1. Here it prints like 4 dots, then it prints the 1, and then here it comes in the next nested loop. Here it starts from 1, and the upper bound is also 1. So basically 1 upper bound means it can only go for 1 minus 1, which is 0. So nothing is going to be executed for the first time when I value is 1. Then it comes to the next part of the I loop. Okay, and there is a print, so basically goes to a new line. Next value of I is 2, so it prints 3 dots, and then the value 2. Then it comes here, the range is 1 comma 2, so 1 comma 1 basically, because upper bound is 2, 2 minus 1, so 1. So it prints only 1 dot. So 3 dots, 2, and then 1 dot. That's exactly what we were looking for. Write this, it's going to execute. So let's just run it and see what is coming. Exactly what we were looking at, right? So I hope you got a bit of a understanding how we can use nested loop to create patterns, right? So this is a simple program that we just had a start with. Next, we will look at the next problem. So what do we want to do? We basically want to print, we want to take a integer as an input from the console, from the user, and then we want to create a dictionary where all the values starting from 1 to that number which is being given as the input, user input, are going to be the keys, and then the square of those numbers are going to be the values. So basically if I give a input as 8, so it will start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So each of them will be a key value and the corresponding square. So 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9, 4 square is 16. Like this it will carry on, right? This is a simple thing that we have to basically develop. Now we come here. First thing we have to do is we have to initialize first of all we need to take an input from the for the user. So I take int terms, number of terms basically, right? Is equal to, we have to typecast because the input value is going to be a string, we have to typecast it. So input, and we give a prompt, enter a number. Okay, so we give that. Then next we basically initialize the dictionary object. Say dict var1, right? So we just initialize it as a blank dictionary object, right? We do that. Next we start basically a loop. So for I in range, what is the range? It starts from 1 and then it goes till the int terms, but not exactly in terms. It has to go for int terms plus 1 because upper bound minus 1 will be the number of loops, right? So we'll do that. And then what we will do? We will simply put in the dict var1, dict var1, and then we will basically mention the key, and then we will put in the value. So I into I square. Okay, So this is done. Once the whole thing is being done, we will come out of the loop and print the dictionary variable, dict var1, right? I'm sorry, I have to give a brace. Okay, now we run it. Oh, there is a problem. Very silly mistake. So it's simply, so I give a 5. It's fine. The dictionary is being created with all the indices being the numbers from 1 till the number we have given as a number of terms. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the values are being the square of those numbers. So 1 square 1, 2 square 4, 3 square 9, 4 square 16, and 5 square 25. So these are very simple 3 problems that we used, primarily the iterator concept of Python, to work it out. We will come back and discuss some more problems and how they can be solved using Python. So stay tuned.